tell the ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this podcast right now that live in Harris County, what the judges, what you and some of the other judges, what you have done to kind of make sure the wheels of justice keep moving forward, and what you've got planned for the future, and just let us know kind of how the justice system is going. And Judge, I think it would also be fair to say that some of the things you're going to talk about are happening in other jurisdictions as well.
Right.
So this is not just for Harris County. This can, if you don't live in Harris County, and a lot of our listeners don't, you're probably going to have some judges and lawyers in your community that are doing the same or similar things. So Judge, what are we doing to keep things rolling?
Well, let me give a little plug to the judicial branch, right? I mean, we're the least vocal. However, we're where people hate democracy. I mean, we're on the front lines of government. As I tell my panels of jurors that come in, I go, very few of you will ever be elected to the legislature, and even fewer will be an executive. But every single one of you gets to participate as a member of the judicial branch today.
Yeah.
And so we're on the front lines of this, and I think it's incumbent upon us to protect the people. And when it comes to a public health pandemic and a public health emergency, the first issue was, what do we do with summoning people to come down to serve as juries? I mean, our entire form of government is built on people coming in and making it work, but we also have to protect those people. So that was, I think, the first act we did was to cancel jury service. And as you know, in Harris County, we've canceled jury service through the end of May.
Yeah.
We're trying to find ways to have jurors on standby, because there are some cases that warrant a jury trial. So if let's say, Brian, you get sick and you refuse to quarantine, and we say, no, the government says, Brian, we're going to have to quarantine you. That's a fact question, whether or not you need to be quarantined. And
yeah.
So that's Chapter 81.
Yeah.
And you have a right to a jury trial.
Yeah.
So that's the type of case that it's incumbent, and we have to get you a jury because we need to get you quarantined if you're a risk to the public. And so we're trying to figure out ways to do that. I think most courts, other than the criminal courts, have done away with personal appearances. And in the criminal courts, they've done it so that very few personal appearances have to be done. And they're trying to socially distance there as well. Going forward, I mean, we're already looking past May. The federal courts in the Southern District have already said there'll be no jury trials through July 6th,
okay.
At least. Going forward, we're discussing if we were to ever, the next time we bring in members of the public to serve on jury duty, where do we bring them in? The concern that we have in Harris County currently is under the public health emergency, we're not allowed to have more than 2 people per elevator.
Which is another thing that Harris County has had a little bit of an issue with since the hurricane is
facilities.
The facilities that they were damaged by the hurricane, and the elevators and some of the other facilities have not been repaired.
So, I mean, that's a huge issue, right? I mean, the public's confidence in the efficiency of the judiciary is massive, but we're not the ones who decide our budgets. We're not the ones who decide, where our facilities are going to be. And so we're hampered by that. And now we've got this added layer of making sure that the folks that we bring in are safe.
Yeah.
From a public health perspective.
Yeah. One thing I heard somebody mention a couple days ago, and I don't know if any of the judges or lawyers have thought about this, but has there been any discussion or thought about maybe you brought up the example of somebody that needs to be quarantined, like basically a COVID-19 court or like a separate court to handle issues related to the pandemic?
So there have been 31 judges, I think, appointed statewide that are solely dealing with that issue.
Really?
They have sole discretion to deal with those quarantine issues, and they actually have statewide jurisdiction.
Okay.
So if the judge here out of Harris County is Judge Hawkins out of the 11th District Court,
sure.
So she can exercise her authority on COVID-19 individuals anywhere in the state of Texas.
Well, that's really interesting. How long has that been in effect? Because I was not aware of that. And I think a lot of lawyers and citizens in general are going to be real interested to hear that.
I think that started mid-March, end of March. I will say of the leadership in Texas and even nationally, the Texas Supreme Court's been pretty proactive. I mean, I will say that, and this is to brag on Harris County, but what happens in Harris County happens in Texas.
Yeah,
So
right.
we tend to lead the way, not only because we represent 6 million people, but I think we're a younger judiciary. We're a more progressive judiciary, and we're more mindful of our communities. And so, and like, what was it, last year, 2 years ago? I think I was the first court in the nation that did parental leave.
Yeah.
And then starting last year, almost, I think, half the Harris County judiciary adopted it, and now Texas is going to adopt it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what happens here really leads the way.